Forsyth is joining me in studio. She has just released her memoir, Agent 407, a South African spy breaks her silence. Now, of course, there's been some controversy around the book. She's joining me in studio now to chat about the book and the mixed reaction. Hello.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
It's very nice to meet you. Now, like I said in my intro, there's been a very mixed reaction to this book, a lot of controversy. It's actually sparked a lot of debate. Were you expecting this?
You know, I didn't quite know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that people who were with me at Rhodes 30-odd years ago still feel very hurt and betrayed, and I fully understand that.
Yeah.
But from the rest of the, and of course a lot of them are in the media now, so, and holding senior positions in the media, because we were journalism students after all at a very good degree. So I expected some people not to be too happy that I was writing the book, but you know, for those people I needed to tell them the whole story. They only ever knew half of it.
Yeah.
And from other people the reaction has been surprisingly positive. People are interested. For the younger generation, that really has surprised me. For all of the born-frees, if you like, the people I've met have been really fascinated, because it's a part of their history they know nothing about. And of course it's not a big piece of the history, it's almost just like a tiny window into what happened in those days, and they are just interested.
I want to speak about the born-free reaction in just a moment, but like you said, a lot of the people who were with you at Rhodes are in the media now, and I think in the past week some of them have had the chance to almost confront you. What did that feel like to have these conversations now that the book is out?
Well, I haven't had really confrontations. A couple of people have phoned in to radio programs, and some of them have just asked quite straightforward questions. I think you might be referring to the John Robbie show.
Yes.
When Bridget Hilton-Barber phoned in. And you know, Bridget is the one person I have managed to speak to about what happened. And she and I had a conversation years and years ago on the telephone, because we have mutual friends. And I took that opportunity to apologize deeply to her, but also we made a promise that one day we would sit down and have a proper heart-to-heart and talk about what really happened. And for various reasons, not intentionally, we haven't got around to doing that. But it was my understanding that she had forgiven me, and we've been proper friends for the last 8-10 years, yeah.
Now, why write this memoir now?
Well, I did start writing it 15 years ago, after I had spoken to Ronnie Castrol's about doing it. It was really important for me to get his approval, his blessing to do it. And he was encouraging. He said, I think you'll write a good book. And he was very generous in seeing me then, because after all I'd let him down immensely. And I started writing it then. I wrote a couple of chapters, and then, you know, life gets in the way. I moved to the UK with my daughters, took up teaching for my sons. It was a punishing job. I taught high school English for 15 years and loved it, but the workload is shocking. Got married again, met the love of my life, raised my 2 daughters. So, you know, eventually when I retired from teaching last year, I had written a lot of it, and it was time to finish. It was its time, if you like, for me. I always wanted to get the story out. I wanted to tell people what had actually happened after all the variations of the story. And although I would love to have gone and seen every single person I ever knew and told them all of this face to face, there was never going to be that chance.
Tell me about that born-free reaction that you were just speaking about. What kind of reaction have these young people who were born after 1994, what kind of reaction are they having to the book?
Well, they're fascinated. You know, I was watching one youngster listen to an interview the other day, and I was just talking about what had happened, and I could see they were surprised. They didn't know about a lot of the stuff. They were fascinated. I was speaking to someone who wasn't a born-free, but had matriculated well after the first elections, democratic elections in 1994. I think they matriculated in 1999. So they weren't Born Frees, but they weren't that politically active before that. And I was quite shocked to hear that at that point they still only learned the same history that I'd been taught at school, you know, about Jan van Riebeeck and, you know, the Second World War and the French Revolution, and they hadn't actually changed the curriculum by then. And if it was up to me, I would have changed it immediately. And so they didn't know a lot about it either. They only found out when they got to university, the same as I did. But I think for the Born Frees, they're not coming at it with the same baggage because they have a different outlook, they have a different perspective, and they just don't know about that part of history. And so for them it's more interesting than something hurtful.
Now, is this the whole story? A lot of people have said that they feel like you've picked and chosen what goes into the book. What response do you have to this, people?
Well, I think anyone who writes a memoir can't write every detail of what happened in their whole lives because you would never finish. So
the book would be enormous.
It would. It would. And not all of it's always interesting either. So you always automatically, even when you're a journalist, you're writing a story, you have to pick and choose. So nothing's ever completely objective. I sat down and I wrote it as best I could. And some of it, bear in mind, after 30 years. So some parts were quite hard to write, partly from a memory point of view, but also from an emotional point of view. So it was quite a process writing it. And I did realize at a point that I wasn't writing about all the personal details of the people I lived with and, you know, all the details of exactly what I'd reported. But on the other hand, neither did I want to, because that would feel like betraying them all over again. It was not my place to write about their personal details in this book. This is my story. And yes, I wrote lots of reports, and if I'd regurgitated all of them in the book, frankly, they wouldn't have been that interesting. You know, they would have said, yes, I went to a NUSAS meeting here, and so was at it, it was this date, this time, and this is what was said. I don't think that people would have found that particularly interesting, but yes, obviously, I did report on all the things we did. And that's just how I felt it was the right way to do it.